Hello, you guys. Um, I wanted to do a makeup video today, but I've been struggling, having some difficulties with some things. Um, but I decided to make a video about it because I think it's very relevant and it's something that we don't talk about enough. Let me start off with a short story. I was married, and my husband was kind of an intense guy. He's always wanting to know where I was and what I was doing. And, you know, uh, he called me from work like 20 times a day. And I got used to that. And so, even when his like phone would break or something would happen, he'd always find a way to get in contact with me. And so when I did not hear from him, I knew that there was something wrong. I didn't hear from him for several days, and woke up to a phone call at like 5:45 in the morning in the middle of the week. It was one of those dreaded calls that some of us unfortunately have to get, um, telling me that they had located him, and he was deceased. He was killed, and it's a surreal feeling to hear something like that. And the first thing I kept thinking was, I knew it. I knew something was really wrong because I hadn't heard from him the entirety of our relationship. There wasn't a single day I hadn't heard from him, whatever he had to do, whether he was visiting family or doing whatever. And it threw me into a big depression. I worried about my children. How do you tell your children something like that? You know, how do I call, his mother and his sister, his family, let them know what happened? And all I can say is that grief, sometimes it just doesn't get better. You just learn to deal with it in a more, you know, I guess, constructive manner, for lack of better terms. Um, I went through the 5 stages of grief, back and forth and back and forth. And the 5 stages of grief are denial. And denial is exactly what it is. Like, this can't be true. You got the wrong person. He was the toughest dude I know. Like, anger's the next. And they put them in order, but you skip around in grief. You don't go through grief, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It might be 1 and then 4 and then 2, regardless. I think this is something that a lot of us do in our heads a lot of the times, and we don't really realize that's what's going on. So the second stage of grief is anger. Why'd you leave? Why'd you put yourself in a position to get caught up in something? Or why'd you leave me? That's anger. And then there's a stage, bargaining. Bargaining is where sometimes you'll go to the, you get down on your knees and you'll say, God, If I just live my life the right way, can you make this not be true? Can you reverse this somehow? And that's bargaining. The fourth stage is depression. And like I said, it's not like you go through these stages of grief in a like a linear fashion. You jump around. Like, I believe after the initial maybe shock and denial wear off, a lot of us go right into a depression. So depression is number 4. And the fifth one is acceptance. Acceptance is saying, this is, you accept the reality for what it is. And you understand that your life will never be the same again. And you have to come to terms with that. I wasn't sure if I wanted to make a video about this, but, you know, as I said before when I started my channel, I wanted this to be a channel where it's not just about beauty and makeup, you know, although that's like the main thing, but it's about a lot of different things. And you'll hear me talk about a lot of sort of psychological things, but, you know, I talk about whatever. I think it's very important to acknowledge that there are a lot of us grieving out here. You don't just grieve death. You can grieve medical diagnosis, can put you into a state of grieving. Getting older, can grieve for your youth. There are a lot of different things. Everything doesn't have to be as tragic as what I described that I went through, and am still going through. Reach out. Family, friends, let people know what you need, because I know a lot of times people see you and they see you grieving and they see you're in pain and they want to fix it, you know. They want to fix it. I'm the same way. When anybody that I love and care about is going through anything, even people that aren't in my circle, I want to make it better. I want to ease their pain, but sometimes we just have to accept that this is something you just have to go through. Which is, again, another reason why I say people need to take care of their mental health. I don't like to refer to it as mental health because it's whole body health, but you do need to take care of your mental health and reach out for help. If you don't think there's anybody close enough to you, and you start to feel stuck and you don't know, you know, whether you're going forward or backwards, you'd be surprised how many people are out here willing to, if nothing else, give you a lending ear. Grief is not an easy thing to go through, and unfortunately, as we age, we see it more and more. You know, I get to the point where I don't even want to log on to my Facebook because I'm afraid of, you know, a friend or family member has passed, and that happens. And it sort of throws me back. You know, I'm very empathetic, so it throws me back. It doesn't do that to everybody, but it does do that to me. So I have to take special care and to find things that get my mind off of that, because the fact is there's some things that are inevitable in life that we cannot change. The only thing that we can change is our perspective. So if you are out there and you are grieving, you're not alone. If you need help, speak up. Thank you guys for listening.